I am a patriot. I love our country. I am a strong and intelligent woman of color, and I have dedicated almost my entire adult life to protecting the safety, security, and the freedom of all Americans in this country. It was the attacks on 9/11.
When Tulsi Gabbard walked onto The View, it wasn't just another guest segment, it was an ambush gone wrong. The producers thought they had their usual setup: invite a guest, let Joy Behar sneer, roll her eyes, and score a cheap laugh. But Tulsi came in different. Calm, sharp, unshaken. And then it happened. She looked Joy in the face and snapped, "Stop acting like an idiot." Gasps echoed through the studio, the audience froze, and Behar's smug grin collapsed in real time. It wasn't a clapback, it was a takedown. One of those rare TV moments where you could feel the balance of power flip live on air.
Yes, we're getting a little bit far ahead of ourselves, but Franklin Graham finds you refreshing. He doesn't find me refreshing. Richard Spencer, the white nationalist leader, says he could vote for you.
Joy, this is why
you're on
I'm
Tucker
here.
Carlson at least 10 times. Why don't you go on Chris Wallace's show?
This is why I'm here, because you and other people continue to spread these innuendos that have nothing to do with who I am.
Well, Hillary
that have
Clinton
nothing
started
to do
it,
with
and then
who
you
I
shot
am.
back at her, boy. You called her the queen of warmongers.
You doubled down, unfortunately, you doubled down on the baseless accusations that she made that strikes at the core of who I am. I'm a soldier. Because of the attacks on 9/11, I enlisted in the military to go after and defeat and destroy the evil that visited us on that day. I've served now for over 16 years, deployed twice to the Middle East during the height of the war, where every single day I saw firsthand the terribly high human cost.
It was supposed to be another day at The View. Joy makes a snide remark, the audience claps, the guest squirms. Only this time the guest was Tulsi Gabbard, a combat veteran who doesn't blink when bullets fly. And when Joy tried her usual routine, Tulsi fired back, "I've faced enemies overseas more honest than this." That line didn't just land, it detonated. The crowd erupted, the internet lit up, and Joy Behar's expression looked like someone had just unplugged her teleprompter mid-sentence. For the first time, the audience wasn't laughing with her, they were laughing at her.
So, before I ask you the first question, what's happening with the telescope and the stuff?
Oh
And
gosh, the challenge is ongoing. The challenge is ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What is that?
So
Just explain.
they decided, it was decided that they were going to go on sacred land.
Oh yeah.
And put up a telescope and do all this stuff. And the Hawaiians said, no, you're not going to do that. So it's been a fight. Tulsi's been at the forefront. And I try to bring it up, you know,
I remember.
when I can, because I think sacred land is sacred land. You can't, you know, you
Yeah.
can't.
Anyway.
So I have to ask you this. So we were just talking about EU Ambassador Sondland changing his testimony yesterday, that he had to be refreshed about quid pro quo. And you've been skeptical more than a lot of the Democrats about the impeachment inquiry. Were you surprised by what he did yesterday?
Well, look, the facts are important, and we'll get to that. I want to start with something that I think is also important about fact.
Joy Behar thrives on interruption. She'll cut, she'll mock, she'll overtalk until the guest either backs down or looks rattled. But this time, nothing worked. Tulsi Gabbard sat steady, unshaken, and when Behar tried to twist her words, Tulsi cut her off with surgical precision, not defensive, just correcting lies. The audience thundered in applause, Joy froze, and suddenly the showrunner in the control room probably had his hand hovering over the commercial break button. For a comedian, silence is death, and in that moment, Joy Behar's stage was a graveyard.
That's why I ran for Congress.
We actually have the clip of Hillary Clinton, just to put this in context of what we're talking about. Let's take a look at that.
I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third party candidate. She's the favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of, sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. That's assuming Jill Stein will give it up, which she might not, because she's also a Russian asset.
So
Really? I mean, this is outrageous. This is outrageous. and offensive on so many levels. I've served as a member of Congress now for almost 7 years, receiving high-level national security and intelligence briefings, serving on the Foreign Affairs Committee, the Armed Services Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, working to ensure the safety and security of the people of this country. This is why I'm running for president, to continue that commitment of service.
So are you surprised, though, that when people see bots and things and all the things that we've sort of been seeing heading your way, that people have these questions? Because she's not the only one. Hillary, I don't think, is the only one. So what she's saying is she feels they are grooming you. You're saying nobody's grooming me. I'm doing what I'm doing because I'm a soldier and a patriot.
It's offensive to me as a soldier, as an American, as a member of Congress, as a veteran, and frankly, as a woman, to be so demeaned in such a way.
But you called her the personification of rock.
So demeaned
She's a woman
in such
too.
a way. Well, I'm pointing to the fact that she has continued this legacy of being the world's police around the world, that has waged wars costing the lives of thousands of my brothers and sisters in uniform. I'm speaking out against that, and
What's
to
your evidence
change.
to that?
To change.
Well, can I?
Are you serious?
Let's hear it.
Are you serious?
Let's hear it.
I served in the war
Not
in
you,
Iraq.
her. You're saying that she's
exactly.
she's a
I
warmonger.
served
How do
in
you
the
come
war
up with
in
that?
Iraq
Yeah.
that she championed. She championed a regime change
Did
war
you not
in
believe
Libya.
in that war?
I believe the lies that were told to us.
Well, so did she.
So it is indisputable. It is indisputable.
And then came the dagger. Tulsi Gabbard leaned in, eyes locked, voice calm. You can't bully someone who's fought real battles. Boom. The crowd exploded, half standing, clapping over the host. Behar looked smaller by the second, shrinking into her chair as the weight of the moment pressed down. That was the break. Soldier versus sitcom clown, veteran versus daytime diva. And in that clash, Behar's decades of cheap punchlines didn't stand a chance against raw truth delivered with battlefield calm.
To say anything other than the fact
this-
that
can I
Hillary,
say
let me just close this out, that Hillary Clinton throughout her career has led with a foreign policy of interventionism and being the world's police, going and toppling dictators in other countries that has caused such destruction and loss of life. I'm against that. I'm running for president to change that. Rather than actually debate me on the issues, she and others are resorting to these smear tactic campaigns, seeking to undermine me, smear my character, and sending a message to anyone who dissents. Toe the line, or you too will be smeared.
The clip that broke the internet wasn't some edited highlight. It was raw, uncut, and brutal. Tulsi Gabbard cut through the crosstalk and slammed the brakes. Stop. You've had your turn. Now you listen. Stop acting like an idiot on national TV. The studio went wild. Cheers, applause, even a few gasps that turned into laughter. Meanwhile, Behar flinched, leaned back, and gave the look of someone who just realized the roast wasn't hers to control anymore. And when the clip hit social media, millions replayed it like it was a prize-fight knockout. Spoiler: Joy was the one on the mat.
I do want to ask you something else. Kamala Harris said recently that her race and gender are, quote, the elephant in the room, and that many still question if America is ready for a woman, and specifically a woman of color, to be president. And you're also a woman of color.
Yeah.
Is that, you feel, been a problem for you? Would you agree with her?
No, I think the American people are ready for a president that will put people ahead of politics, put people ahead of profits.
Then why is she saying that, you think?
You have to ask Kamala that. I can't speak to why she's saying that, but what I've seen in our travels across New Hampshire, we just came from New Hampshire yesterday, across the early states, we have some New Hampshire people here, is we are building a code to bring about the systemic change we need to see to take our government back from the rich and powerful who control it and make it so our government is truly of, by, and for the people.
By now, Behar was scrambling, trying to find her footing. She reached for notes, she tried to shift the topic, but Tulsi wasn't done. You can spin this however you want, but everyone saw what just happened. That's the line Tulsi delivered with the coldness of a closing argument. The crowd roared louder, and Behar froze mid-sentence. She couldn't even hide behind the laugh track, because this time the laughs weren't on her side. It wasn't just a bad day on The View. It was Joy Behar being exposed as powerless on her own stage.
Because recently on your show here,
I was just going to get to that.
good, helping you out.
You want me to ask you?
Yeah,
No, look, some of
question.
you have accused me of being a a traitor to my country, a Russian asset, a Trojan horse,
Dude,
or a
we haven't accused you
a
of-
useful idiot, I think was the
Well,
term that you
useful.
used. Which basically means that I'm naive or lack
That's a
intelligence
Russian
to
term.
know what's going
They
on.
use that.
I want to let your viewers know exactly who I am.
All right.
Set the record straight. I am a patriot. I love our country. I am a strong and intelligent woman of color, and I have dedicated almost my entire adult life to protecting the safety, security, and the freedom of all Americans in this country. It was the attacks on 9/11.
By the end of the day, the verdict was clear. Social media crowned Tulsi Gabbard the undisputed winner. Clips racked up millions of views, reaction videos poured in, and hashtags trended worldwide. Tulsi's line, "Stop acting like an idiot," became the soundbite of the week. And Joy Behar, silent. No clever Twitter spin, no post-show victory lap, no witty retort. Just radio silence. For a woman who lives to talk, that silence was the loudest sound of all. And in the world of television, nothing is more humiliating than being muted by the very audience you thought you controlled.